Hello, hello, hello. I am grounding myself with with 5 toes in a sock, but I'm grounding the heel on the socks are kind of difficult to take on and off, so that's why I'm just grounding my heel, and that works too. So, and only here on the grass. The other foot I have in the shoe. Noisy. Yeah. Eckhart Tolle said on the Oprah show, money can buy you distance to your next door neighbors. And that made Oprah Winfrey real mad. She didn't say anything, but she had a disgruntled look on her face about that. Because I already know what she was thinking when Eckhart said that. So, but anyway, it's still the truth. Yes, it doesn't matter who the neighbors are, right, and what skin color they have. You still want to buy yourself distance to your next door neighbors. They could be quiet, they could be Buddhist monks, right? And then it would not be such a problem if they lived right next door, like 10 feet away from where you're sitting in your backyard. Then it wouldn't be a problem, right? Obviously. But if they scream every day, yeah. If they holler mean at their dogs, that's painful to listen to. It really is. So, and there are much worse people even than that. So we're very lucky, actually. Very lucky that we're not living next door to criminals, but these people, the owner of that property, he's greedy. I don't even think he lives there. He has one room in the garage for himself, but he rents out like everything. The garage, the guest house, the house, every room, every shed, every garden shed is already rented out. And one time he had criminals living in that guest house, and that was not good at all. Not good at all, because they pointed a gun at us and even shot into our backyard, because anything will trigger this guy, or anything. Just looking, we didn't have much privacy then. He could see Paul's expression on his face, and Paul does not have a good expression on his face. Okay, so, and that made the guy so mad. Just like a dismissive, like a disgusted, kind of like disgruntled look on Paul's face, that was enough to make this guy pull a gun out and shoot into our backyard. And we had our Great Dane, Kenny. The bullet could have hit our dog, okay? That was really scary. And then the people on that side, those are also very greedy, the owners, okay? And they're constantly renting that out. They're renting it to other people. And right now, the people on that side are very nice. We're very lucky with that, okay? So, but in the past, there were people that lived there who were not so nice, okay? And one family from Mexico, that it was just an absolute disaster. The little bit of privacy we had with the hedge, they cut that hedge completely through. They cut holes into that hedge, chopped it all into a very unsightly situation. Before that, the hedge was really tall and even and everything, and they just chopped holes into it, cut everything in with an axe even. And then they were able to look through that hedge right into our kitchen window. And I heard them talk. I heard them talk like real, like like criminals talk, like really, really bad the way they were talking about us, and they were talking about me, how fat I am. It's like, bro, they're fat too, right? But no, it was just a disaster, and they were peeing there by the fence, and who knows what else they were doing there while they were looking through that fence. And they were constantly drinking alcohol every day, and they were loud, and it was just a disaster. And one time on July 4th, or I think it was July 4th, a lot of people were lighting fireworks here on the street, and their cousin came over with a gun, and they were lighting fireworks in our front yard. Oh, shush. The most normal thing to do, right? If you don't want light fireworks in your own front yard, do it in your next door neighbor's front yard. They'll be very happy about that. No, Paul was not happy about this and went out there courageously and told them not to light fireworks in our front yard. We still had the tree at that time, and the tree was already getting brown and was already dying, and it's really bad. Port Orford cedar tree. And Paul said some of the branches were already like brown and everything, and that has volatile oils in it, and if there is a fire spark or something going in there, then the whole tree can go on fire. He told them that, so just to explain all of this so that hopefully they wouldn't take offense, right? So he said, you cannot light fireworks in our front yard. Maybe that doesn't make sense to you, but hey, that is kind of like what we're requesting here. And so they left, and then an hour later I had my computer in another room. I didn't see this. Gosh, I would have completely freaked out. Paul and Kenny, our Great Dane, they were in the living room, and Kenny was looking through the window of the living room, and that cousin came into our front yard with a gun, and it had this red laser beam on there, and he was shining that red laser beam right at Kenny's head, and Paul could see the red laser beam reflecting on Kenny's head. And Paul got completely scared and panicked. He saw that the guy was standing there pointing the gun at our dog. And Paul rushed over, took Kenny to the side and closed the blinds and looked through the blinds to see what's going on. And he saw that the other people were rushing over and telling him something like, bro, what are you doing? And and they got him to come back to their house. So I mean, that was like, and when these people get drunk, they really become insane. So it was scary. It was frightening. One time they bought a goat, like a male goat or some kind of, I don't know how they're called, like an Aries, I don't know, Aries type of goat, okay, with these really long rounded horns on the head. And I was sitting in my backyard. That was also, well, it's not funny, the whole thing, okay, it really isn't. The hedge was not grown all the way up, so there were many patches by the fence over there where anyone could come over and look into our backyard. And I'm sitting there minding my own business when all of a sudden I see this Aries face look like a the depiction of the god Faunus or the devil, right? I see this and alive. Look, I see this and I wasn't scared or anything. I look huh? Am I looking correctly? And there was this face of this male goat looking right at me at the fence, and almost like he was in a panic, almost like he was asking me to help him. That's what the energy was. And I was like, what the hell is going on there with these people? And so I told Paul about it, and we looked over the fence. We saw that the male goat, and I think the male goat was actually on a long tether or something, tethered to that apple tree. And it was pretty apparent what they were gonna do with that goat. So we had to contact the animal shelter. We told them all about it. They came over, they gave him a citation. They said, here in the United States, this is not legal. You can't just have a goat there in your backyard and then in a residential area like this and then do your beheading there. You're slaughtering there in a residential area. And they seized the goat. Thank goodness. So we helped the goat. I was so glad, my God. And then, of course, they were pissed about that. They already suspected us and all of that. But what can we do? We have to help. When there's an animal in need, you have to help, obviously. That's obvious. So, and these kind of things, like on and on and on. They would be parking in our, like blocking our driveway, just parking like completely crooked with the back end of their trucks completely blocking our driveway. And this going on and on and on and on. And then they would have a lot of trash there was so much trash coming out of their front yard that would end up flying with the wind through the whole street, and cigarette butts, littering of cigarette butts and ashtrays, and it was a disaster, absolute disaster, you know. It is what it is. So it's like, okay. And obviously I'm not the only one complaining about this, and I'm not the only, it's not only people without money that are complaining about this. There are some other people that may have a more elaborate living situation, and they have to put up with sometimes with that kind of stuff too. So they see litter and stuff like this coming into their driveway as well. So it's very upsetting. And the Buddhist nun, Suma Qinghai, but she's not like a nun who lives in celibacy. So she was married a few times, one time to a German even. And she talked about this a lot. So she has some kind of like a Sangha retreat somewhere in the Asian world, I guess in Malaysia probably. And there are people from all over the world that come there and listen to her presentations on, it's always about ethics. It's always about veganism, protecting the animals, and that's like ultra rare for a Buddhist nun, for any religious figure, for any religious leader to be talking about this. And she talks also about the trash and the littering and the people, even in her Sangha, in her Buddhist complex that she has, the employees and also the people that come there to visit, they just litter all over the place. And she talks about this openly, and she says that's not acceptable to be littering like this. And then she has to look after all of this. Her employees don't even clean it up. She has to go out there with a picker and a bag and stuff like this and pick all of that trash up. It's unacceptable that Suma Qinghai would have to do this. Okay, it's unacceptable. I mean, for me, it's like, okay, you know, it's it's my contribution, sort of. We live here. It's a situation like this. But for a person, a religious leader who preaches ethics and kindness all the time and makes the world a better place and has a lot of influence and has a lot of responsibility on her plate already, then for her to have to go out there and clean up other people's trash, that takes on another level, okay? And it's not okay. If I could live there, I would help her with that. And I would not be nice to people. I would be a dictator CEO. If I could work for her, I would be real harsh with the employees there. Not when they're crying or something, but when I see them litter, I reprimand them. I go over there and I scold them, okay? And I kick them out. And I would give them an ultimatum. If you do this again, you're going to have to leave. You're going to have to go home and never come back, okay? Because it's unacceptable in a Buddhist monastery retreat like this, in a Buddhist Sangha retreat, to have any kind of trash littering around. I mean, what an unsightly thing, right? It's like they're trying so hard to manicure the gardens, and they want to have a Zen-like atmosphere for people that come there and feel like they're here, finally here. This is a place, this is a sanctuary, this is a place of mental clarity and healing, and not being surrounded with trash as they probably are where they're living, right? So all of this has to be talked about, these things, okay? No one wants to talk about it. People who talk about it, they're frowned on. They're like, are you a Karen? Someone says it to me, yeah, I am a Karen. You better believe it. And I would be a CEO Karen, not just, I wouldn't only go somewhere and say, I need to talk to the manager. I would say, bro, I'm the manager here, and I'm also a Karen. So you better straighten out, okay? And that's what's necessary. That's the will to power. That is the will to power. That's Friedrich Nietzsche's will to power. And that's how we live. That's how we need to live. That's how I need to live. That's how I'm always living. That's how I'm always dealing with things. And that doesn't make me very popular. No, of course not. Yeah, but that's a secondary concern, right? It trails very far behind. Because the most important thing is to straighten things out. And I remember they all laughed about me at the Primal Center in LA. And those people were all coming from the academia, and those were psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists, philosophers, classical musicians, those type of people. One time an opera singer from England came there, okay? So those type of people. And in the beginning, was fairly in the beginning, like the second year that I was there, 1994 I believe it was, when things were getting a little bit in disarray and a lot of people were in a crisis, and I stood up and I said, we need to create order here. And that came across so German that most of them were like Italians and Jewish people, some people from Israel, and they were like, oh, wait a minute, oh, the German, okay, that is so German, and they just don't take it seriously. It's like, order, oh, forget about order, right? Order, ha ha ha. Nikki said order. Oh my gosh, order. Oh God, that is so ridiculous to create order. Okay, well, that's also the mind state of the Democratic Party. Order? No, we don't want order. If you're sending the armed guards? Who are you? Are you an Adolf Hitler? Yeah, and that is how they respond. Okay, this is always what I get when in a situation like this. But I don't care. I said, yeah, we need order here. Okay, it's pretty obvious. I mean, it's like right in your face obvious that we need to create order, that people can't just litter, that someone needs to empty these trash cans there and they're flowing over, or people are in a crisis. Okay, let's help them, let's do something about it, not just cash in and say, hey, where's the check, what the big check of, I don't know how much, $200 per session, $300 emergency sessions, or even more. So yeah, check, I need to check. The way you feel, well, that's secondary. I need to check first. Check first, then we can talk about it, right? Check first. We need to check. We need the money. The money. The money, the money, the money. Trash can flowing over. Yeah, it's secondary. Okay, we need your check. Check. You need check. And oh, Nicola, your check bounced. And then the other guy, David, Nicola, your check bounced. Bounced, he said to me. It bounced again. And it didn't affect him because it was not his bank account, so he laughed about it. But the Janovs didn't find that so super funny that it bounced. Okay, so, Nicola, the check bounced again. You can't do this anymore. Okay, sorry, I didn't have anything in control at that time. I was not even, they almost didn't take me because they knew that I was completely dysfunctional. I mean, I was just so mentally ill that they thought I wasn't even going to be able to take care of myself in terms of feeding myself. They thought I wouldn't even be able to do this. They thought I'd be going out naked into the traffic or something. It wasn't that bad, but I had dreams of that kind of stuff. Okay, that's already the precursor for something. I mean, bad nightmares and dreams. I still have them once in a while. But it was really bad. Okay, I was really broken. Okay. My mother had broken me, and my dad too, my grandfather and my mother in particular, but also my dad and my brother. They all added to it, to breaking me, stepping on me, breaking me over and over and over again, because they thought they could. They thought, oh, Nikki is just a crazy lunatic. Let's step on her. Okay, so I got there at 26, and I was broken. Absolutely broken. And they thought, no, we don't have the right facility for someone like that. But then a couple months later, they accepted Franz Janov's niece, Elsa. And she was just as broken as I was, okay, 3 years younger even than I was. So Elsa and I decided to move in together, which probably wasn't the best choice to make, but I have to say that apartment and that communion with her was the best of all. There was better of anything that came afterwards or was before. Okay, so it was really the best, and I should not have quit that. I quit it because I saw her smoking and I didn't allow smoking. So no, it's not easy, all of this, and we were both crazy and we were both completely out of it. I mean, she brought a whole bunch of snails into her bathroom. Her entire bathroom was full of snails and slugs. She said, l'escargot, l'escargot, escargot, l'escargot. Okay, we know escargot as we know that term from 10-star French restaurants, which I don't even want to think about it. But she just thought it was fun. She had like hundreds of escargots that were creeping up on the inside of the shower wall. And so I said, well, that's not really a sustainable situation here. But I didn't dictate anything to her because that's her business, but I said, so they're not gonna survive there, so you're gonna have to take them back out. And then she took them back out. She cares too. But then she would party and she would drink. She wanted me to go with her to a bar, and I said, Elsa, I have already moved beyond that. I don't want to go to a bar anymore. I don't want this stuff anymore. I want to heal myself with primotherapy, with inwardness and all of that. I don't want to go into a club or something. But she wanted to take me into those really high-end clubs. And now, looking back, maybe we should have. I don't know. But maybe it would have been a bad idea. Maybe I would have been taken advantage of real bad or killed or something. There's no telling what may have happened. So when criminals, when they see someone who is vulnerable and nice and really nice and kind, they take full advantage of that person. Oh my God, it's amazing. So, and it happened to me my whole life, that I was taken advantage of and used for money and my clothes. My friends would just take my clothes and just put them on and leave, and just goes on and on and on like that. Or they would take my expensive drawing papers and they would just scribble something on it and throw it away, take another one. It would just go on and on and on like this. They would also steal. I think they stole from our wallets, which were at the door, naive, all of that. It's all sad. It's all sad, all of this. So, for some people, it takes a very long time. It takes a lifetime until they finally see more clearly how you have to protect yourself, how you have to live your life. You can't have your wallet around there with someone who is not responsible, with someone who parties, or with someone who takes drugs or smokes or hangs around with other shady people and stuff like that. You can't count on people like that. You just can't. You can't trust people like that. Even if they're broken, but you don't want to have your wallet broken, okay? You don't want to have your mind broken by people like this. And it's not easy, so I ended up now living in total seclusion. And I talked about that the other day at the other house. Okay. With Paul, we live in total seclusion. We have no friends. We have no contact to anyone except for a real estate agent or the store clerk that we see once in a while. Hi, how are you doing? Take care. That's it. So we have no contact to any of these people. We're not hanging out with anyone. Whenever we meet someone and they may want to hang out, I make excuses because I just can't. I learned my lesson from the past, okay? So it's not like we're meeting Donald Trump and Melania Trump. I mean, if I would meet Donald Trump and Melania Trump or someone who is like them, then I would not make excuses or say we are afraid of the virus or something. No. I'll do anything for them. If they wanted me to wear a face mask, I would do that too. So, but the virus thing is basically an excuse. And also when I keep my distance from other people in a store, so I have to always keep 5 to 6 feet distance from other people. And sometimes they act offended, they act hurt about this. And I feel sorry then. I really feel sorry. I don't want to shun anyone. I don't want to snub anyone. I don't want anyone to feel rejected. But sometimes, like older people particularly, they feel rejected by that. Because they think, oh, why are they making such a big circle around me? And other people that I have heard, unintentionally hurt, and that I feel really bad about. But I have to make big circles around people. I cannot be near people. I don't like it when someone rubs against me, or that one realtor lady. I mean, in the beginning it was okay. I put up with it because I was in harmony mode, right? But I really don't like it. And I also don't like how other people smell. If I met someone like Melania Trump, that'd be a completely different story, okay? Why? I tell you why. Because, and it's not like, oh, I want to be on that level or something. No, it has absolutely nothing to do with that. I would be their housekeeper and toilet cleaner, okay? I don't care. It's not about rank or something. If I met someone like them, or someone who's just like them, very, very clean, and I mean, like, the shoe sole smells like roses, right? Someone like that. Of course there wouldn't be a problem. I would have no problem. I would have no problem sitting on their couch or them sitting on my couch. I would even offer Melania Trump or Donald Trump my recliner chair, my holy grail recliner chair at the other house, right? That I don't even let Paul sit on that, because Paul sits in the van and there have been other people that have test driven the van. That's my OCD, okay? I would have no OCD with Donald Trump and Melania Trump. Okay? That's a fact, okay? These people are very pure on the outside and on the inside. They're very pure souls, very pure beings, okay? So I have no OCD with them. They don't smoke, they don't drink alcohol, they don't take drugs. They live a very pure, austere lifestyle. They're amazing people. And they are not fanatically religious. They're not even religious at all, okay? So that's what I wanted to talk about today, actually. It's like when I meet people and they are not smoking and not drinking alcohol and not taking drugs, and they have a very straightforward lifestyle, very healthy lifestyle, let me guess, they are Mormons or Amish people. You're right, Nicola. How did you know that? How did you figure that out? You must be a psychic. Yeah, I am, but you don't have to be a psychic to figure that out, okay? It's very simple. It's simple logic applied, okay? I'm doing OCD rituals. Simple logic. You meet someone who is a Mormon or Seventh-day Adventist or Jehovah's Witness. So they're all slightly different, but so the Jehovah's Witness, they drink alcohol, but they don't smoke. That's a plus already for me, because, I mean, if they drink alcohol, at least They're not forcing it on me, and there's no secondhand smoke coming at me. So I can hang out with those. Seventh-day Adventists, they don't drink alcohol, they don't smoke, and they don't eat meat. Now that gets 10 stars, okay? So the Mormons, they don't smoke, they don't drink alcohol. I don't know if they eat meat. I don't know about that. But they live a very orderly lifestyle, so 5 stars, okay? So here's the catch if I hang out with them. If I talk about Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, they tell me, there, you see the door there? You go through that door out of this house and you don't come back. Okay. So that's a response I would get, even after several years of friendship and not mentioning Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. So. And then they would have to turn on. That happened with the next door neighbor, the greedy guy. He came over one time and I talked to him about the blue god. Oh, the horrified look on this fundamentalist person's face. He went back to his house before he had renters, and he turns on the radio with this radio preacher. I forgot the name now. This radio preacher blasting over the entire neighborhood. Fundamentalist radio preacher. There was his way of purification. To purification with that sociopathic, unpure radio preacher preaching the Christian shit religion. Okay, so, I mean, it would be pleasant with a Mormon. It would never work with a fundamentalist Christian. That's like, stay far away from me, okay? I can't, I have no use for people like that. Those are also speciesists. So I've met a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses and they all were very animal friendly, very loving people, very sweet. I hung out with them, but they can only hang out with people when there is still hope that they can convert me to their religion. Once they understand there is no hope, they walk away, but not in a mean way. If I see them somewhere again, like at Walmart, they will be polite and nice, but they will not hang out with me. So they're not allowed to. Okay, that's what the situation is. There's a baby dog catching the last sunbeams. Yes. And that is the situation, okay? It is a sad situation, all of this. The sun is now behind the rhododendron. And it is not the most complimentary of all lights right now for my face. But whatever. I'm not trying to win some kind of beauty competition. I'm making these videos as a hardcore absolutist philosopher, okay? And nothing else. This is not about some kind of appeal to anyone. The only thing I'm appealing to is people's hearts. Have a heart. Help us get the pigs out of the factory farms. Free all of the pigs from factory farms, okay? Help us do it. The Jehovah's Witness would never help me do this because we don't deal with the brutal outer world. That's not very kind. That's not very responsible. I mean, if they did help me, then I can say, oh, now your religion is 50% good, actually. Okay, so, but it's not 50% good, so it's like 10% good. It's not enough, unfortunately. I need 100%. And then there are Buddhists. It's like 10 stars and all of that. If you don't drink alcohol, you don't smoke, you don't take drugs, and you're not violent, and you're not doing something that you're not enabling trafficking or something. Then I say, yeah, okay, I'm completely on board with you. Then, but a lot of Buddhists are also very, very glued to that religion, and it becomes a very rigid situation as well. That's what Sri Krishnamurti was warning about. That's why he stepped out of that order, the order of the Star of the Theosophical Society, because he didn't want to be people's guru. He didn't want to be he didn't want to be viewed as, the reincarnation of Gautama Buddha, which he was, but he didn't want it's just this idea of people. This is Gautama Buddha already stands in the way of people actually listening to what he has to say. So it wouldn't matter what he says then, and people would be screaming and in awe and following like a rock star. So, and that's what he didn't want. Okay, they had everything for him. They had palaces for him. He rejected it all. So anyone who says, yeah, but they bought him expensive clothes once, he would go shopping once in a while. Bro, he has the right to go shopping and buy himself clothes. Okay? He was very modest in his approach. They didn't even have in Brockwood Park in the school that he founded. They didn't even have enough money to put decent, real thick bookshelves in there. They had kind of 1x4 shelves, and they would be bending in from all these books. So they needed to have at least 2 of those together to give extra support. But they didn't, and he let other people do the management of it, and they probably cut costs, and they probably cheated him out of money. Or there were probably people that took that pocketed donation money that was coming to his foundation and stuff like that. I'm sure he was not looking at any of this. He was not looking over people's shoulders. I would have, okay? And if I had been in a situation like this, I would have taken the palaces. I would have taken all of this. See, that's the difference. That's why I'm not there yet. Okay. But I probably would have been a very austere and very rigorous leader. I would not put up with any BS from anyone. But I would also help people. I mean, help by people, I mean animals and humans. I would help. Okay. Help where help is needed. And not let someone else do the management of it and pocket money or so. I would be extremely, extremely furious if someone did that. So, or if I was the manager for Sri Krishnamurti, boy, I would be his guard dog. Okay. So, because I don't like BS, I don't like criminal activity. The human species is just ridden with they're plagued with criminality. That's a fact, okay? No one wants to talk about it. No one wants to say it. Oh, who are you? You think you're holier than thou. I am holier than those. Ta-da! I said that. Yes, I am. Okay. And I guess if I wasn't, I wouldn't have the right to talk about it, right? But there are people that get real mad at someone else lying to them when they themselves lie all the time. I see this also in the world. There are people that can only see their own vantage point. They cannot see the other person. They can't see others. They kill each other because someone disrespected them. But they disrespect others all the time. Okay, so they have no respect for anyone, but they expect respect from others all the time. So I'm not a double standard. Okay, I do better. I walk my talk, and I have the right to point things out in the world. It is very important for us to do this. So unfortunately, when I am meeting someone and I think, oh, nice person, right? Maybe we can invite them over or something. And sometimes we have with Jehovah's Witnesses, and that's always very delightful and very nice. They will start to proselytize. I will start to preach ethics. Okay, tit for tat, as Hannibal Lecter always said. Quid pro quo. You give me a lecture, I give you a lecture back. And while we're peacefully drinking tea together. So, and I have a gazillion arguments and austerity that debunk your religion. Okay, I can say, here are the points that I agree with. I agree with not having organ transplants. I agree with not smoking. I agree with not going to the hospital and having treatments done. I agree with not going to war. I'd rather go to prison than that. So I agree with these things, 100%. But then there are other things that I don't agree with. Okay, so if they say Jesus made wine out of water, first of all, I'm very skeptical about that. And even if that was the case, I don't believe that Jesus Christ drank alcohol. That is not in alignment with what I heard about that philosopher, Jesus Christ. Okay, so I think he was a very austere and very inwardness oriented person, and very ethics based. So he was an ethics philosopher, and people made him into a religious leader, religious guru, which he didn't even view himself as. He viewed himself as a philosopher, and he put his wife, Mary Magdalene, on the same level. So he viewed her on the same level, on eye level with him. They were both writing books. They were both teaching. Okay? They were both very, very wise souls on equal footing. Okay? But what does a patriotic society make out of this? Of course they will. They will lie about Mary Magdalene posthum, right? After she died and can't defend herself anymore. They will make up BS about her. Don't believe it. It's totally wrong. She was not a prostitute. So if I meet someone, I'm making video. Yeah, I'm making a video. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if I meet someone and it will go for a while with a Jehovah's Witness or a Mormon or a Seventh-day Adventist, okay, or Buddhist, but then sooner or later we will hit the fork road. Okay, we will hit the dead end street with our conversation, because I question things and they don't. So they're obedient followers. That is not how we want to live our lives. That is not how we make the world a better place. We don't make the world a better place by being a fundamentalist of any religion, okay, by being a believer, by being someone who just caters to their religion. Okay? That's not how we make the world a better place. That's a fact. We make the world a better place by questioning things and by being extremely rigorous and austere with ourselves. Okay, Friedrich Nietzsche said that too. Okay. He said, I want the free thinker to be 100 times superior to any philosopher or anyone through extreme rigorous austerity and self-questioning and inwardness and all of that. Okay? And that's the only way we can do it, by being extremely honest to ourselves and be honest to others in terms of philosophy, in terms of intellectualism, in terms of walking your talk, okay, in terms of standing up for the well-being of all beings. Okay, peace and love.